Hi, welcome to C.C.C Radio, episode 6. I'm your host, Ricardo Carranza.
And I'm Jordan Coca. And today we're joined by our special guest, Rhiannon Wilson. So, Rhiannon, can you give us a little bit about yourself?
Okay, hi, I'm Rhiannon Wilson. I am currently an industrial painter, but I am a part-time student at Fanshawe taking professional financial services, and I also have a side business where I bake.
Awesome. That's
Perfect.
great to hear.
I guess that leads exactly to our first question there. So yeah, you said you baked. What is Simply Resistibles?
So 3 years ago, I bought a condo and it had a very nice kitchen, and I decided to try baking.
Okay.
And it just happened that I brought some stuff for the guys at work, and they really liked it, and they're like, "Oh, we should try selling this." I was like, "You think I'm good enough? Well, thank you." So then one thing led to another. I started selling stuff. I made business cards, and then it just
Kinda
grew
taken
from
off?
there. Yeah,
Okay,
actually
okay.
though, it's fun and it's creative. So
Do you
I
find
like
a
it.
lot of your friends are supporting your business?
Yes, friends and family for sure.
Okay.
And I think what I like the best is I have a lot of repeat customers. So it's like, hey, like anniversary, birthday, cousin's birthday, like, can we get a cheesecake from you? Can we get a cake, right?
Okay.
Was that transition from not operating like a business to operating as a business, was that tough for you? Or was it like, because I like baking cake used to be probably fun for you, right? And then when it became a business, was it still fun? Or
I think because it's still distant enough that I'm not doing it all the time, it's still fun. So I'll only get a few orders like every week, maybe like 2-3. So it's not like, oh my gosh, it's too much, I can't handle it. This isn't fun anymore. And I think because it's a hobby as well, I know when to take a step back where it's like, all right, that's enough orders for this week or this month.
Okay, so that's good. So you haven't let it actually become time consuming yet, right?
Yeah.
Or like kind of like, I guess, a burden in your life, right? Okay, that's cool.
Although Christmas got crazy because I did cookies and cheesecakes. I was so
Would you do it
busy.
again?
Yes.
See, sometimes the money's always there, right?
Yeah.
that's what we're saying. If you ever need a cake or anything like that, we know who to contact.
Yeah, guys. Yeah. We'll give you the link up above.
Yeah, for real. And then I was gonna say also, like, was this the first business I guess you've started, or like before this, was there something that existed, or?
So it's my first baking business. However, this is going to sound really funny, but when I was 10 years old, my mom and I've always had really sensitive skin, so I had to be very careful what I put on it. So she decided to like get glycerin and everything to make our own soaps so that it was easy for my skin. And then it grew, and then we started doing like lotions and stuff, and then we started making them for family members.
Oh, wow.
And then it ended up being
way.
a little business.
Wow.
Yeah, it was called Rhiannon Signature Blends.
Oh, that's really cool, actually.
That's super sick. So okay, so it's been in your blood.
Yeah,
So you've always been okay.
I did that when I was 10, and then before like Etsy and everything, we went to the community center here in Wood Oaks. And I just did a little craft show, but I sold out before the end of the day.
That's crazy.
So
wow.
and then that was the start of my savings.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Smart, okay.
Yeah.
So you've always had that like entrepreneurial push. Where does that come from, you think? Like,
Well, my mom does it, so she's had her own businesses.
Does she still kind of run anything like that, or is
she's currently in between projects, but she does she did have a blog, and then she did selling
sick.
vintage clothing, so she's
Nice.
done a lot.
Okay,
as well.
sick. Okay, so
So it's a family thing,
Yeah,
I guess.
100%. Okay.
And my Aunt Jody, she did City Match, and that's like a huge business in London, which is really cool as well. So
Did you always kind of look up to this kind of like behavior also, like seeing them kind of own their own business or kind of be able to get their own schedules or kind of like, or even just be there whenever they wanted to be there, right? Because they have that availability. Like, did you like that, or is
absolutely I played a fair amount of sports when I was younger, so it was really nice that my mom could kind of schedule her schedule around mine, which was a blessing because I loved having them there. So it was really nice to be like, all right, I'm going to work in the morning, I'm going to see your sports, and then work in the evening or whatever.
That's amazing.
but with that being said, like I'm sure you saw nights where like it's like owning your own business, you have to work more, right? Like then like you've seen probably nights where she's working extra.
Yeah,
right?
late night, and like I'm going to bed and she's still up, or she's already up before I get up, and definitely the hard work. But
It's always like that's what I'm experiencing, like owning businesses as well. It's like you always have to work in in the background when no one's really seen, and like the extra hours there, and like that's the only way you can flourish, right? And like
absolutely.
It's kind of what I'm experiencing now. Like I was thought, like, because I just got a new job, and like it's a full-time job, right? Working like 42 and a half hours a week, right? And then I'm trying to balance C.C.C and then my other business on the side. And I'm not gonna lie, I'm getting pushed around pretty hard, and it's hard to juggle because like when I come home from work, my first thought is like I want to relax. Like I feel like I deserve it, right? But like that mentality is not the mentality that's gonna get the businesses pushed ahead or kind of like getting stuff done, right? Like contracts will come in and I'm like, oh, I could go chill, play some games, relax, right? After a hard day work. But like sometimes you have to kind of sacrifice those gaming hours or those relaxation R&R time to like actually just push forward on your other stuff to kind of get yourself ahead. And yeah, honestly, for me it's been crushing, but it's kind of, I guess, the adjustment on it. Do you find you have issues with that?
I'm pretty organized, so I like to, like you, where I feel like I need to unwind after a long day of work. So I'll be like, all right, I get 30 minutes of Netflix. That's it. So I get to do that, and then, all right, I have to make scones or whatever. But then it's like, all right, then it's business. So I've been able to shut off work, have my me time, decompress, and then I can start the business stuff.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. That's
because like
a clear mind almost.
With like your business, and then you also in school and work, like you need to have organization, right?
100%.
Well, so like that.
Do you use a whiteboard? Or anything similar
I
to
have
that?
like the little, it's from Dollarama, it's just like a little calendar.
That's what I have.
You rip off every
month. The weekly ones? You have the monthly ones. I have the weekly ones, yo. Like those,
although I probably do need
I love the weekly ones.
It'd be more beneficial, right?
Yeah. Come September, I'll probably grab a weekly one.
Oh man, I can't wait till September because I'll be done school. Like that one class I do have, it'll be just out of the way, and then just unwind. Honestly, just work on the businesses and not have to worry about school because like I have a paper I have to write, and last thing on my mind is doing the paper.
Yeah.
Like, was it something in your face or?
Yeah, it was actually very positive. My parents, well, like I said, when I did the business when I was 10 years old, the money that I made went right into my savings account. So that was like 10 years old, and I had like a couple grand.
That's crazy.
And it's like, and that was the start of my like college fund, and and it was just like, they were not like annoying where it's like save your money. It was just like, hey, like instead of for that $50 you got for your birthday, maybe 30 of it should go into savings. I was like, okay, and like that was that.
You never fought the idea?
No, well, because it was just like, I don't know, I just kind of liked having this little nest egg all the time, right? Like, well, you know how much I used to work at Pizza Hut, right? Like, I used to take all the time. Yeah.
And you used you just saved it all the time? Like, was that?
Well, I was working so much, so I didn't go out, so I was saving the money that
you'd go out with.
Okay, so it was kind of a
so
nice
like
catch-22.
When your parents introduced that to you young, like it kept on going.
It's still there.
Yeah, that's
definitely
amazing.
Yeah. Sorry.
No, go ahead.
No, it's nice that they back me up, and they were always like really adamant about, like, I don't really remember having allowance much, but just the understanding of the importance of money, but not to fear it, but to understand how important it is, and just like it's everywhere, right? Like,
no, but that's interesting. You said like not to fear, because I do feel like a lot of people fear it. Like when you talk about money, like it's something like that can make people nervous, or especially because like in our society, money always has this negative like stigma with it. With like it's like Absolutely. A status quo, right? It's like oh, you don't have this money, you look down on, but like it's not like that. So like what you're saying is important. It's like it's not something you should be fearful of. It's something you should like talk about, like embrace and face, right? So no, that's big. That's huge. And I guess like did you have like at school, did you get taught any of this? Like in high school, I know we went to the same high school. Like I didn't really get taught nothing there.
No, no, I didn't feel like I was taught any of that in school.
So just your parents then, basically.
Yep.
And do you, so what I was gonna say is like, do you feel like just having that positive reinforcement from your parents is very like strong, and like that's why you're at where you're at? Because like you even did mention like you bought your own condo. Do you feel like that was also like reinforcement from them telling you save, do this, and you were able to save for like a condo, as you said, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Like they were very like the conscience that I needed at times, where I'm just like, oh, I'll splurge. Like, it's a really pretty dress. They're like, but do you need it? You're like, no. So and then it's like, all right, I'll save whatever I would have spent on that and put it in a savings, and then it just like grew from there. But like I was able to pay for my trip to Europe. I was, which was a month long, right?
What?
So it was a month
long.
long.
We were talking about it a little earlier, right? And like, well, I didn't know it was for a month long. That's pretty cool. That's cool.
I paid for college out of pocket with Pizza Hut money.
Sick.
Yep. So
Thanks
I don't have any
debt. The Hut paid for college. That's awesome.
Debt from that, which is really nice. And then I bought my condo 3 years ago on my own. Like,
and I guess like
nice.
With that though, like did your parents also like teach you how credit works, like a credit card? Because I know like at 18 you knew how it worked and stuff. Right?
Yep,
that's amazing.
Yeah, and then like
so you got
they kind of they explained like overdraft fees and stuff like that.
That's really good
because they're really financially literate, obviously, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Yep. And did they get it from their parents though, like, or were they the first ones to kind of get it themselves, and then now they're trying to like.
That's something we talk about a lot.
Because like that's a big thing, right? Because like I come from a family where like I was gonna say like I come from like a family where like a handful of people are financially illiterate, and like there's nothing on like everyone in my family. It's just some people adapted, I guess, to like situations, right? Other people are like, we just live in the moment. Nothing wrong with that. If you can live in the moment, be happy. I think that's the best thing you can do. But there's other people who have to be, or they have to feel some sort of security to be happy, and sometimes that's financial literacy, because if they know I can pay the bills this month, I'm not going to worry about this. Oh, if I ever need this, if my car breaks down. Some people just need that source of security, and I find like that's some people in my family. And like kind of going back to what I was saying is like, was it passed down from like your grandparents, or like, or do they have siblings that are like?
Well, it's interesting because I think it's a different, which my mom actually grew up like in Ontario housing, like in northern Ontario, so like a very low income family. So I think growing up that way, she pretty much thought, I don't want this. So how do I change it, and how do I adapt? And so she worked 3 jobs in high school. She worked like crazy amount, and like my dad too, and he worked young. He got into GM with my grandpa at the time, so like he was making good money there, and they were very like, I think my dad and his family were more financially literate, but my mom, it was more of like seeing by example and what I don't want. So how do I grow and change that?
That's sick though. It's like being like building yourself up from your environment, pretty much, right? Like you see something, it's like a reflection of what you don't want. So it's like that's cool. That's super cool to hear.
Yeah, and I guess on another note, like, do you talk to your friends about financial literacy, or is that something that's kind of not talked about much? Or
depends who I talk to.
Yeah,
a lot of it, it's very it's tiptoed around. So yes, like my friend, she just bought her own place. Congratulations, Larissa. But but it's never really like, oh, how much was it, or how much did you put down, or that kind of thing. It's just like, oh yeah, I bought my own place, and like
it's like the tiptoe. You like I feel like we talked about it last podcast, but it is like when you kind of talk to your friends about money, it's like it's something. You have friends who will be like, oh, they'll tell you whatever. They'll spill their beans, right? And then there's other ones where it's like you say the wrong word, and there's like just kind of bite back at you, right?
Yeah.
So I get you on that. And like, do you feel like now that, so let's say your friend just bought her house, do you feel like she's more open to like kind of talk about like that kind of idea, or is it kind of like
I'm not sure. I would let her kind of
lead the conversation.
Yeah, because I feel like if she doesn't want to talk about it, I'm not going to push. Like I don't.
Yeah,
I mean,
don't
it's
really
kind of cool to talk about, but I don't
exactly.
care.
And like the thing is too is like I feel like there has to be a reason to talk about it too. Right? It's not like you're gonna bring you up to your friends like, oh, I bought this, I paid this much for my house. How much? It's not like one of those.
It has to have intention.
It has to have intention behind
it's
it.
Like, oh, I just bought this $2 coffee and I just spent $20,000 on a new place. Like,
I get it. Like, do you actually care to know? And like, is it going to be a conversation, or is it just going to be kind of like we're just
because like fronting, because like what I'm trying to figure out is like, for example, like if is financial literacy not talked about in groups of friends because they don't feel comfortable asking questions around that group of friend, or is it because like it's just that much of a stigma? You know what I mean? That's what I'm trying to get down to. Like,
I feel like it's more friends, right? Because like even like our friend group, we talk about it, but like we're also like really involved in it, right? And I have other friend groups who just don't want to talk about it. They don't care. It's like two different worlds, right? And I think it's a lot of like the friend groups, or even like I guess what people are doing with their lives, right? And like when I say that, it's not necessarily like if you're doing the best in your life, you want to talk about it. It's more about like how you're affected by it, maybe, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
I think that maybe kind of could be like the judgment on why people or why don't people talk about it. Like I bought a brand new car, right? So like I found that I had to talk to my friends who had cars to kind of get like an idea, and like kind of like that's how I kind of operate. Like I asked them like, how much you paying, or how much is insurance. Like mine wasn't necessarily to kind of say, oh, I'm paying this. It was more to kind of get like data, so then I could kind of compare it all and be like, okay, am I actually paying a good price, or am I getting swindled, right? So like kind of right, and it comes back to, as you said, like the intention behind the conversation. Is it going to be are we just like trying to say, oh, I'm doing better than you, or is it just a genuine conversation of like somebody's curiosity?
Well, and that's maybe what I'm wondering too. If some friends are like, well, I don't want to talk about it because I don't want to like rub it in your face or feel like I'm above you, so I don't want to mention what I have. But I feel like,
and that's another thing too. It's like with like think about it. If it's sports, we can brag about our sport. Like, oh, I'm the best soccer player out here. But when it comes to finances, it's like all of a sudden, like it sounds like bragging. Like, oh, like the rich are bragging, the rich are this and this. But like that's another negative connotation that people have towards like those who are financially literate, those who actually have money. Like it's because they worked harder, because they actually like they thought it through, they did their stuff. But like you know what I'm saying with that comparison?
I feel like so like we want to stick stigma, and like I think it's maybe a bad thought I had in my head. It's like when you said that, it's like, or there's the kids who like got lucky and their parents just had a lot of money, and I think like that's kind of like me having that thought in my head while you're saying that is like kind of like where it leads to stigma. You know what I mean? It's like. Some people are fortunate, but like not everybody's good with what they're given, right? Like you can be given all the tools in the world, but if you don't know how to use any of them, it doesn't really matter, right? So
absolutely.
So what motivated you to actually get a career in finances? Like, was there something that just told you? Someone said, "Hey, why don't you do this?" Like, and more than that, like, why did you specifically go into retirement savings?
So like we were saying before, I really sat down and thought like, okay, what is pandemic proof? Well, finances. Money is not going anywhere. No. Like, it's going nowhere. No. I can do it from home if I want to, which is wonderful. And I just like that even if I don't really like, I want to pursue it as a career, but if I don't, I know what I'm doing. Yeah. Right? And I can help my friends and family and be like, all right, here, like, let me show you.
Yeah, it's still a valuable skill.
Exactly. Okay. And, but why I think retirement planning is so important is because, like, there's a guy on my volleyball team. He's in his 40s. He hasn't even planned. Nothing. Or really? Nothing saved. And I was like, you're 25 years away from the ideal 65-year-old retiring age. Yeah. And you have nothing saved. Granted, he has 2 small kids, but, like, you have to think about everybody because the more time you're working, the less time you can spend with them or whatever.
Yeah, there's always a trade-off.
Yeah, right? So I just think everyone should deserve to retire because we work so hard in our life and we're always bred to work that we need to live a little. Yeah. Right? I'm not saying like, you work, and then...
No, I agree with you on that.
And, like, you don't have any fun on the weekends or don't take your trip to wherever, right? No, like, I know you do that, but for the 30 or more, 50 years we're working, we deserve some time not to work.
And, like, just the simple thought of, like you said, like, once you turn 65 and you don't have that stream of income, then what? Yeah, like, it's just that, right? Like, it's like you have social services and stuff, and you have.
And that's the thing.
That's like, when your body starts going downhill too. Yeah, right? Like.
Well, and like, okay, 65, that's great, and like, if you don't have much of a savings, there's like OAS, which is like old age security, old age savings and all that stuff. But like, it's you'll get $1,000 a month. No, like that's like. Really rare cases you'll get like $600 if you're lucky.
Really?
Like like it's not much at all. And then there's like the like if you're low income you'll get a little bit more, but it's not much. Like you're still like counting pennies at that point. So like you need to have that savings to give if you want to travel or if you want to like hang out in Florida for a few months, right? Like you have to think about the lifestyle you want when you retire and how to save for it.
Okay. Have you, so like, well, not obviously, but have you started preparing? Like, are you?
I have.
Okay, how long has it been since you started doing this?
Well, I have a little savings on the side, but I also have the luxury of, at my work, we have a savings plan, or RRSP. Yeah. Yep, so for every $1 I put in, they put in 50 cents.
Oh, perfect. Wow.
Right? So ever since I've been working there, I've been working there 4 years. So I have, I mean, it is capped, however.
Yeah, they probably only, what's it like?
Yes.
75 to 150, I'm assuming?
Well, I put in $4,000 and they put in 2.
Oh, perfect. Okay.
So I mean, $2,000 of free money. I'll take it.
Exactly. 4 years, you've made $8,000 already off them.
Yeah. So.
And does that? Oh, question, because like I'm not too knowledgeable, but does that transfer from job to job, or is it like how's that kind of work after? Do you know?
So I'd kind of just get that, and I'd put that in my RSP. In my bank account. Yeah. It won't keep going, and I don't have a pension where I work. That's just kind of what they've set for people.
Yeah.
I mean, I can add to it myself, but that's about it.
Okay, so like essentially that money would just go into your RRSP, and then from there it's like cut ties. Next company comes in, for example, they offer the same idea. It would just go contribute into that same account, correct?
Well, yeah, I'd have it like separately, and then I would have that work account with them, and then if that doesn't work out, then I can transfer it back to them.
Okay. So it stays with you then. It doesn't just disappear. That's kind of what I wanted to
I was gonna ask, like, so what are different, like, I guess, like, strategies or tips, like, for saving? Like, you know what I mean? Like, is it just a general, like, saving account, or like you were mentioning, like, an RRESP?
Yeah. So there's there's benefits. There's tax-free savings account, as you know. There's RRSP, registered retirement savings plan. However, there's benefits to both. Like a tax-free savings, you don't pay taxes to withdraw. With a RSP, you do.
Yeah.
So you have to think about that, because you're like, oh, cool, 30,000. It's like, yeah, but
you
take all 30,000.
You're only getting 20. Maybe.
Yeah. Depends how much you take out at a time, right? Because if it's like $5,000, then there's 10% gone.
Yeah.
So you have to think about that stuff. And then, so I do that. There's also like just little savings you can have. Like I said, I have one at work. So there's my RSP, but there's also just a savings. So before I even look at my paycheck, money comes off. I never see it.
So you have the automatic pay yourself first.
Okay,
it's
So you look at, like, for example, a fraction of what you really make, but that's your paycheck in your mental mind.
Yep,
right?
that's fair.
That's the way to do it, honestly. It's like automatic transfers, right?
Yeah. So I don't see it in there.
So you pay yourself first always. That's by the sounds of it. Okay.
Yeah.
Remember when we did that poll?
Yeah.
No, it was funny to see, because I looked at the data after. No one paid themselves first. Everybody, like, you know what I mean? It was pretty funny.
Yeah, well, I mean, like, it's easy to forget, like, especially if you have a lot of debt or a lot of like things coming out of your account, right? Like, you get into this mindset where, like, I can't afford to pay myself first, right? But like, you can still.
You can.
Like,
even if it's a fraction, like
even if it's a little bit, like you said, you can,
and
and you build that and you save it and you continue, right? And what was it say? So for retirement, like, I guess what do you think, like, what do you think stops people from wanting to save right now? Because it's so easy to say, you know what I mean? Like, we can be like, everyone put some money aside, this, but we know that 8% of Canadians are not doing that.
I think part of it is some people are living beyond their means, but it's also we're not thinking long term. Like, we're like, okay, yeah, I want to go to BC next summer. I got to save for that. Okay, well, what am I also have to save for, well, I'm almost 30, so...
Yeah.
Should have a house.
35 years, right?
Yeah.
Like, you have to think long term. And, like you said, save for a house. Okay, yes, I've already bought my condo. However, you haven't bought anything yet. Save your RSPs. There's your first time home buyer's plan.
Yeah.
You can use your RSPs for that, right?
Yep, that's kind of like, I'm planning, I've been saving my dollars, but like right now the market's crazy. It's
ridiculous.
Like, right, like, if you think about it, like, and I usually use this as a reference, because like the home, like, we're currently in right now was bought at $200K. The house beside us sold at $450. What? It doesn't even really make sense. And then when you think about it now, the house beside us went up for sale again, and it went up for $550. So within a year, it went up a whole $100,000. It's like kind of really unfathomable, and it sucks for some of us, like, especially in our age, and like yours also, and like anyone trying to buy a house at the moment, especially in London, where London was like a small city doing really well, and you could get a house, you could raise your family, and it was pretty cheap. Now it's like, it almost feels impossible if you're not actually doing what you say is saving, right?
Yeah, like, even when I bought my condo, $100,000 more the next year for the same one, a few floors up.
See?
I'm like, I mean, crazy.
Yeah,
cool,
for
like,
you.
But I mean, like, for you guys, right? I do want you guys to be able to buy stuff instead of all the Torontonians coming down here and be like, yeah, I'll take that, and that.
Yeah, exactly.
And but I hate, that's kind of the weird part, right? Because like, what I noticed was, like, when you, like, working at TD, they used to always say, like, if you go to Toronto, you get like a 4, because they do the wage gap, right, to kind of beat the means of like the city you live in, right? So if you're working in Toronto and you worked same job we worked, we were making like 21. You worked in Toronto, you're getting paid about 27, because like there's like that cap.
The cost of living there is more expensive.
That's what it is. The cost of living. Thank you for So the cost of living is more expensive, and then you need to, like, they need to supplement you to be able to live and do that same type of job, right? And it's like, okay, what if I don't live in Toronto and I live on the outskirts, like most people end up doing? Take that hour commute to work every day, and they still make a lot more money. It's like, you kind of understand why people do that. And like now you're starting to see it in London where people are taking London jobs, but they will live 2 hours out of London, but it's okay because it's not that bad. It's better than driving into Toronto.
Yeah. Well, like me, I live in London, work in Woodstock.
Right?
Yeah, exactly. All right, so we'll move on to the next question here. Sure. So what is the reality of retirees nowadays, and what happens if we do not change anything? So for example, like let's just say me, Ricardo Kranz, I'm 26 years old. I don't think about saving, let's say, and I don't care for it. Like how does my future look like?
Well, you better talk to Andrew and get into couponing and
shout out Andrew and Andrew.
But yeah, I just think you would not live your best life. Mm-hmm. You would have to be very minimalistic, very frugal, and I don't know, I just feel like you work so hard, you deserve better than that.
Yeah,
that's good.
That's fair.
Like that. See, that's motivation though, and I feel like that's why like what you're doing. I feel like that's why you'll probably succeed just from like that. Because like if you have that mindset and you're already telling people like they should be living like this, it's like I feel like it'll compound because you're also going to reinforce it on the person themselves, right? It's like I think that's the big issue too. It's like people, you could tell someone to save, but if they don't see the light at the end of the tunnel, why they should be saving, what's the point, right? Like if I could just say, oh, I'm not even going to live till 60. Like why do I need to save?
And like
right?
you've been mentioning the whole time, like you kind of been saying how like I guess like you want to plan, for example, you want to buy a house, you want to save for that. Like it's not a cookie cutter like solution for like retirement savings, right? It's like your individual wants. Like you want to have a family out in who knows where. Okay, you have a different retirement plan than someone who wants to have a family of 7. And you know what I mean? Like it's every individual situation, which is kind of cool about your job, I guess. Like
like that's why I like financial advising, planning, whatever, because you get to see each person and be like, how can I individually help you?
Yeah.
Right? And then you sit down, you talk together and
cater to them.
Yeah. And I don't know, I just like that. And I like the problem solving I get to do. And I mean, I like working with money, and not just because it's like, ooh, money, but it's like, because people do hold it so near and dear to them, right?
Yeah.
Like,
Oh yeah, people.
Yeah, that's honestly like why we started Capital City Crow, is like because we held it so dear, close to us, money. You know what I mean? Like I'm very transparent about it. Like I came from like a family that's not financially literate, right? Like my family came from like a third world country, like refugees, so like they don't not worry about literacy, financial literacy. And so then like I had to start kind of like from the beginning, in the sense like I didn't know how things moved, and like it was so personal to me, so personal to like a lot of our founders at Capital City Crow, even Coca and stuff like that, like where we had to talk about it, like you said, because it's something that I guess how do I say, it's a soft spot in everyone's like you know, heart, like finances and money and how things work, right?
Well, money affects everyone differently, right? Exactly. Sometimes it benefits everybody and gives them everything they want, or they get all this money but they don't get everything that comes with it, right? It's like
just the choices they make too.
Yeah.
Like,
100%.
It's
right?
crazy.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Like, as we said earlier, it's like you can give them all the tools. Doesn't mean they're gonna do anything good with it, right? Like,
absolutely.
Yeah.
Well,
it's like lottery. Have you heard of that stat? Like people who win the lottery, they're usually broke after like 3 years because like they live, as she said, like out of your means. You can't. It's not sustainable. Yeah. And the next thing you know, it's like I only got $100K left out of $4 million in 2 years. It's like how the hell's that happen?
Yeah, like to invest and to do these things.
And then you start getting your house repoed, your car repoed, that expensive boat that you couldn't afford, but you still bought it. Like
all right. Let's go on to the next question there.
We kind of hit that one. So, right here. So, how can someone in their early 20s set themselves up right for retirement?
I think it is important that everyone gets a financial advisor or a planner. However, that being said, do your research. Like, make sure they are credible. You have actual resources like, hey, my mom uses this person, I'm using them too. Mm-hmm. Because unfortunately they're not regulated, so they can be a little sketchy. I mean, I'm going to be one, and I promise I'll be a good one, but not everyone is going to be as loyal or as
honest.
Exactly, unfortunately. But
no, it's true, right?
Yep, but definitely I would look into doing that because they'll help you, whatever your goals may be, right?
Yeah.
Save. Pretty generic, but open a registered, like an RRSP, or even a tax-free savings, right? I think is really important.
I guess that concludes our episode here at C.C.C Radio, and thank you so much, Rhiannon. It was lovely having you part of the episode, and thank you for all the audience who's been able to listen all the way through.
Yeah, so we'll see you guys next time on episode 7, and stay tuned.
Bye.
Bye.